Hello and welcome to the CoStar News Hotels podcast. We're coming to you from the NYU IHIF conference in New York City, and I'm here with PM Hotel Group President Joseph Bojanowski. Joe, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Off to a good start today, and it's a beautiful day in New York City and a pretty nice day here at the conference as well.
Absolutely. Couldn't ask for better weather. I don't think you could.
No, I don't think you could either.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with PM Hotel Group's presence in Washington, D.C. You guys have a heavy presence in the city. You guys added a couple more properties in the nation's capital earlier this year. Obviously, government travel took a bit of a hit last year, but there's a ton of America 250 events on the way. How are you feeling about the D.C. market today?
Yeah, we do. So our offices there in the Washington, D.C. area. We have 7 hotels in the District of Columbia and some surrounding the district. So we have pretty good knowledge of that market.
Yeah.
It's been very choppy. I think, as you probably know, last year after the inauguration, so decent Q1 last year, and then pretty bad the remainder of the year, negative RevPAR growth. This year, off to a good start. And Q1 was okay. Q2 is shaping up to be pretty good, and we've got momentum going into the summer with the 250 celebrations, the 4th of July, which is going to be a big one.
Right.
We're seeing a lot more student tour and travel and some of the things that are the historical drivers of demand in the city. So we're feeling pretty good about it. Keeping our fingers crossed that we do not have another government shutdown.
Right.
The longest one on history in Q4 of last year. So keeping our fingers crossed on that because we've got momentum and it's looking pretty good for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, should make for some good comparisons at the back half of the year.
Absolutely. The year-over-year comps are good. And they're pretty good right now. Right. So April was a good month compared to last year, I think about 7.5%. RevPAR gain for the city as a whole. So, yeah, off to a good start.
Yeah, so let's touch on those major events some more. So, obviously, America 250, you have the World Cup coming up, and you have hotels in some of those host markets. You have hotels in Philadelphia, so that should be big for World Cup and America 250. What do you think the impact of those events will be? And I guess especially for the World Cup, obviously, there were some high expectations initially. Seemed like expectations across the industry went down, and now they're back up to sort of in the middle in terms of sentiment. How are you feeling about these major events?
Before I move off of Washington, D.C., too bad we didn't have a nice enough stadium to
Right.
have gotten a match because it would have been perfect, but we didn't. We're in Philadelphia. We're in the Los Angeles area. We are also in Dallas, all markets that are being positively impacted by FIFA. We were fortunate enough in the Philadelphia to get a team that'll be with us for about 6 weeks, so that was good. In another hotel we have there, which has easy access to the stadium and back, FIFA is in one of our hotels there, so another great win by our teams in those markets, and an example of why you want to be connected with the CVB and you want to have an active sales team and that your property shows well. So same thing in Dallas. You know, Dallas is the headquarters for the sort of PR communications.
The media,
So there's just a lot of activity there. And we have a hotel there that's got a big FIFA block in it. Philadelphia was a little bit of a surprise to some that like 4 o'clock on the last day, FIFA dropped like 2,000 rooms out of the room block. It's interesting. Obviously we've done a lot of study on this. And so we had initially good blocks. The blocks were dropped. We picked up some teams and we were fortunate there. And so below expectations, but I don't think we understood the dynamics around what happens when a team wins and then very specifically what teams win. So we're at the point right now where, if Brazil wins, Brazilian teams travel really well. Fans travel really well.
Right.
And the same thing with Argentina and England. If you've got one of those teams
Yeah.
and they win, when they move to the next city
Yes.
and they win, that's when the next big round of
Right.
reservations are coming. So it's kind of a wait and see at this point. You got what you got till now. I don't think anything's really going to be happening for the next 2 weeks until the games start, and then it'll all be dependent upon which teams win and whether their fans travel or not.
Right. Like you said, there's still some left in the air because those knockout stage matches will probably be the biggest demand generators, and obviously don't know which teams are going to be playing where just yet, but should be pretty
like
nice.
Russia and Qatar are a perfect example of that,
Yeah.
where there were just massive amounts, like not over 50%, but somewhere in the 30-40% range of the reservations that came in those last couple of weeks when the teams were making it through the rounds.
Right.
Yeah. So we're thinking it's going to be the same here as it was in both of those places.
Yeah. So taking a step back and taking a look at PM Hotel Group as a whole, what is your current growth strategy? Which markets or segments are you looking to target in the future?
Yeah, so, we went through a couple of mergers and acquisitions the last few years, and the last one was specifically designed around expanding our geographic breadth in the mountain states through California and into Hawaii.
Yeah.
It was strategic for us, and we stood up regional presences in those areas, specifically in Hawaii and on the West Coast, and we have been able to grow there. We just opened 2 hotels in Hawaii last week.
Nice.
So we're pretty excited about that, and we've got more to come there. So that's on strategy, and we have a great regional team there. And then the same thing in California in the Pacific Northwest, where we're growing. We have construction going in the Tahoe area and in Mammoth and a few other places. And so, interestingly, those markets were also counter-cyclical from a revenue perspective to a lot of the stuff we were currently managing in the Mid-Atlantic and through the Northeast.
Yeah.
So it's worked out well, given lots of opportunities to our high-performing associates and some counter-cyclicality to our revenue streams.
Nice.
So also, I would say that that aligned with our strategy to move more into experiential travel and gain expertise there. And so if you think about the demographics of the traveler and how it's shifting very heavily to more travels coming out of Gen Z and millennials, not the highest spend yet, but the big transfer of wealth there. And we've got great hotels in Moab where you can go out to the Arches, and in Joshua Tree where you can walk out into the desert and hike and cycling and skiing. And so, we think that that's the way the demographics are going. That's the way that largest segment of traveler wants to travel, and that's where we're gaining expertise and gaining product and alignment with that sort of focus on travel.
Yeah. As the Gen Z representative here, we're looking forward for that wealth.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, hopefully, right? So you hear about a lot of the headwinds facing the hotel industry, whether it's labor costs or a tense geopolitical environment or negative sentiment toward the U.S. How have these headwinds affected your business, and how do you work to just push through them?
Yeah, I don't think that there's a hotel, at least in the U.S., that has not experienced a challenge around expenses, both labor and cost of goods, whatever those goods may be, rising over the last 4 years at a rate faster than CPI or inflation. And so it's very difficult. It's very challenging. I think that we've all cut as many expenses as we can, and we've reorganized and around staffing models, and we've renegotiated all of our contracts to the best we can. And there's really only one way past this challenge, and it's through revenue.
Yeah.
So it's gaining market share, it's ADR focused, it's ancillary revenues and revenue per occupied room, and the revenues that flow very well to offset those challenges that are here. And, it was a interesting stat that I heard last week from an economist, and that the excursion / conflict in the Middle East has had the highest. It's been the single highest economic impact of any event that's ever happened.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so then you look at all the products that petroleum products are in,
Right.
from like plastic to lots of things we use in hotels, and then the damage that's occurred to some of those facilities in the Middle East, and the fact that it's going to take 12 to 18 months for them to come back.
Right.
It's a challenge we're going to be facing for the near term.
Yeah, they mentioned in one of the earlier sessions that consumer sentiment in the U.S. has hit an all-time low in terms of, I think they've been doing recording of this for the past 75 years. It's the lowest level it's ever been at. Consumer spending is still somewhat high, but you do wonder if there's a breaking point coming. You mentioned price of gas over $4 a gallon. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
And the fact that some of that consumer spending, or a lot of that consumer spending, has come from debt, call it credit cards,
right,
or buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be coming to roost at some point.
Yeah.
So I think, it's really interesting with our booking pace, particularly around group and meetings in our hotels, is that it's very strong in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strong in the long term. So think Q4 2026, Q1 2027.
Yeah.
And it's a little weak in that interim period. So it feels like if you got to do something now, you're going to do it.
Right.
We have some confidence in the future, and that near term window is still very much up in the air. Is the conflict going to end? What's the price? Gas prices going to come down? Like all that kind of stuff. So we remain optimistic, but there's a little bit of hesitation, it appears, in that near term.
Well, let's get into that optimism, because we like to be optimistic, have a positive outlook. What are you optimistic about in the near term?
Optimistic, as proven through 2020, 2021, and right now with the price of gas, that travel is essential to human life. You will give up things, like physical things that you would buy in order to be able to travel. Travel is resilient, and then again, that big demographic shift that's coming with Gen Z and Millennial making more trips than any other demographic right now, not spending as much as baby boomers,
right,
but a large transfer of wealth coming there. So I'm optimistic around the future of travel, around the future of hotels, and that there'll be some sense of normalcy that might come after midterm elections and some of the things that'll be happening at the end of this year.
Yeah. Okay, Joseph, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be with you.
Hi, I'm STR's Isaac Colazo.
And I'm CoStar's Jan Freitag. And together we are the data geeks behind Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast work.
Every month, we bring you a fresh take on the latest hotel data, insights into the travel trends behind that performance, and the big picture topics you should be thinking about.
And we also don't mind getting into some good-natured disagreement from time to time. Hey, when Isaac and I start talking data together, anything can happen, and it usually does.
Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen.
This episode of the CoStar News Hotels podcast was recorded on June 2nd, 2026, and edited by Trevor Simpson. Visit CoStar.com/hotel news for the latest industry coverage, and look for all of our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or your platform of choice.